What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and for this one I just wanted to make a Special Operations 18 wrap-up video. But before I explain, I just want to thank a friend of myself and the channel. Thank you, Matthew, for the graphic and thumbnail. Now for this video, I just wanted to do something kind of unique and just share with you some of my final views and thoughts on the Spec Ops itself, including the characters, weapons, missions, etc. While I do this, I'm going to roll the boss fight with all the symbiotes in the background, and I do have something special for that as well. I plan on using mostly items that damage symbiotes, so it's not going to be the most OP setup, but I think it's at least interesting to give these weapons a try. I'll show you exactly what I mean in just one moment. On top of that, I'm going to use both of the characters from Spec Ops 18, Anti-venom and Sandman. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can beat this battle with that setup. I do have to say, as far as Spec Ops 18 is concerned, the enemies were really amazing. I don't know about you, but I loved seeing all the symbiotes. Their in-game art was very well done, it looked fantastic. And actually, they weren't exactly a pushover because of the fact that they remove debuffs and do annoying things like that. Oh, but looking at my weapon setup, first we do have the Supersonic Sword. This is a melee sonic tech item. It applies weak point, has deadly crits, and has something called resonating. We were using this because it was a current Spec Ops weapon, and also because it is a sonic attack. That same thing applies to the amplified subsonic sound gun. This is a sonic attack that hits all enemies, causes disoriented, and gives us seismic feedback. I figured this would be perfect against symbiotes. Next we have the Power Cell Mark III. This quick action item has something called Sonic Blast. It says it emits a sonic blast when used, calibrated to weaken symbiotes. Then it also works with our next item, so let's go ahead and use that now. The high capacity charge buff is actually what we really need, and I'll show you why in just one moment. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the sonic blast actually did anything, so I don't know if it was bugged or what. Regardless, the weapon you're looking at, the Void Generator, actually consumes a high capacity charge to put a Void Shield on the entire team. This shield absorbs damage, removes and prevents harmful debuffs. Attackers hitting the shield have a buff removed, but it will not remove or prevent abilities destroying or preventing shields. So as you can see, the Void Shield is a very good thing to have. It also absorbs quite a bit of damage, and it was useful in PvP. However, I haven't personally used it for a few seasons now. But anyways, that's our setup, so now we can start talking a little bit about this past Spec Ops. Like I sort of mentioned, I think the theme and the villains were pretty epic this time around. I was definitely in favor of a group boss, as before this I think I was down to 1 million or less silver. Now I'm ending this one with over 10 million silver, and that's not even counting what I spent already. So for that one alone, I thank the developers, and I hope there's plenty more group bosses to come. As far as the weapons, they're not too bad, but I don't think I'm going to be using any of them in the future, especially not in PvP. The Supersonic Sword had potential, but I really wish it had a counterattack as well. The previous version of it had a follow-up and a counterattack chance, but they were listed as low. As far as the sticky situation set items, well, I was only able to get 2 of them. I got the easy one, the Netcaster, from the task list. Then I also was lucky enough to win the Web Axe. Unfortunately, I don't think this set is too great, and it's definitely not worth using without 3 to 4 pieces of it. That is, as far as I can tell. I ran into problems trying to get the flare launcher even though I ran mission 3 over and over again. I got 5 stars in that mission and continued to run it, but I had no luck. That brings me to the 64 gold item, the Web Breaker. For one, I think it was a pass anyways, but if I don't get all 3 of the other set pieces, I'm not even going to consider buying it. I think there's a lot of people who think the same way as me, so that's what I don't understand about the drop rates. If you want players to buy a 64 gold item, you probably want to make sure they can get the other items as well. Going by that logic, you would think they would up the drop rate for the other set item. Since it seems to be so low, at least for me, I just went ahead and passed. And if I ever use the 2 set items that I did get, it'll probably be more of a gimmick or theme. Then speaking of items that I wasn't lucky enough to get, the gaseous glider from the epic boss also managed to elude me. At first glance it seemed okay, but then once Shanna came out, I did want to try it with her for the AoE poison application, so if you were lucky enough to get it, you may want to try it out with the new character Shanna. Now obviously the main thing for Spec Ops happens to be the character. In this case, the reward character was Anti-Venom. I think his in-game art is amazing, and he's a very useful character both in PvE and potentially in PvP. He does remove a lot of buffs, then he has a chance to depower all the enemy team at once. Although it is a 60% chance, it still seems to work quite often. Then he can still do considerable damage with his level 1 because of the bleeds, or he can use his big hit or potential one-shot ability Crusade. But just in case that wasn't enough, they gave us Sandman as well. Personally, I happen to love lockbox characters, especially the ones you collect from group bosses. It adds an extra little bonus to all that silver you're already racking up. Also, depending on your allies and your luck with covers, you usually get them much faster. But lockbox characters in general are usually pretty good. A few PvP favorites happen to come from lockboxes. Then add in the fact that they have that villain or dark side to them. I just think it makes for a really cool backstory. In this particular case, Sandman was someone I actually wanted, and I even sort of predicted that he would be the next lockbox character. I think it's interesting that both he and Anti-Venom are bruisers, but you know what, it makes sense, and I like the boost to my defensive armory bonus. Like Anti-Venom, Sandman also has one-hit potential, but it's to a much higher degree. He is in the upper echelon as far as damage potential. His level 6 hammering blow can easily take down an opponent, and I'm talking in the first round. Then he can also reach up to 300k, potentially even higher. But really, does that upper level even matter? Sure, I love it as far as screenshots and videos are concerned, but most level 300s have 60k, maybe a little bit higher, and then lower down to 50k. So killing a character 4 times over really doesn't help you win that match any more than killing them once. There are also more counters to melee attackers, at least more so than there was with a ranged character like Havoc. Basically, I'm kind of making an argument that I hope he doesn't get nerfed. At the very least, I hope the devs don't go overboard and at least give him a chance. Overall, I do think he's a cool character, he's very fun to use, and he does have potential. I love his damage potential, his 50% chance to avoid attacks, and his passive abilities. That's not even mentioning pressure points and blinded on his level 9. So overall, as far as characters for this Spec Ops, I give them an A. As far as weapons, my overall grade would be a C, and I may be being nice there. Actually, you know what, I'm going to change that one to a D. Then I think for overall villain score, well, that's another A. However, that could just be my love for symbiotes, especially Venom and Carnage, and then Spider-Man being my favorite hero. So yeah, you could say I'm biased. But anyways, that will bring us to the conclusion of the Spec Ops 18 wrap-up video. Let's go ahead and move on to the roulette, where you know I won't win that flare launcher. For overall drop rates, I give this one an F. But hey, maybe we won't win something completely useless, and we'll at least get some CP. There's what the flare launcher does, nothing too eye-popping, but I did want it just to try out the full set. I guess the good news is, since I didn't win it, I didn't have to buy the web breaker. Alright, so as we give this one a spin and come to the end of the video, I do want to go over some upcoming things that you'll see on the channel very soon. There's going to be a new All Hail the King video coming out tomorrow. Then there will be some new videos involving Squirrel Girl, as well as some potential videos on the Best of the Best series, the possibility for Marvel Avengers Alliance Tactics videos, and I'll also be working on a new Poor Man's PvP. Lastly, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck, and take care.